Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the BT-Accenture Leadership Dialogues. This time, the dialogues have brought us to the Pink City to a very special location with two very special guests. I'm joined by Sonali Kulkarni of Accenture in India and the man behind AU Bank, Sanjay Agarwal. Pleasure to have you both on the show.
Yeah.
Sanjay, I'd like to start off by asking you what a fascinating journey it has been for you at AU. That rhymes as well, but it's interesting because when you actually traverse that entire journey, right from giving up your personal dream of pursuing cricket, and then failing the CA exam twice, to then in 20 years, starting off from a small finance bank to a full-fledged bank. What are the learnings from that long, circuitous, winding and inspiring journey?
Yeah. No, thank you, Aayush. So I welcome Sonali and you both in Rajasthan. I'm a Jaipurite, Jaipur boy, done my studies here, but played more in my first 20 years of my journey. And being a son of engineer father, didn't choose engineering and get into the CA, and then of course in 95 I passed out, and from there onwards till now is what now 28 years, so incredible, unbelievable. I never thought that being a very normal boy of Jaipur and the whole ecosystem surroundings will get to this level, and I'll be heading some bank, but journey remained very exciteful, to be very honest, because we challenged status quo. We challenged that even without a capital you can be in a capital kind of intensive business, तो आज तो लगता है आज मुझसे पूछोगे तो मैं बोलूँगा यार ये तो बेवकूफ़ी थी, but sometime it works, and fortunately for me it worked for me, an entire ecosystem, but very humble beginning with no capital, small office, one man, and then one product, one city, one customer, and I think in last 28 years, from a normal NBFC, then to a partnership with HDFC Bank, and then of course with PE supported capital, and then of course mother of all, which is the banking license in 2015, just changed the entire completions, and I'm very excited to be here and and can share more and more about my learnings. But I think I would only say you this, that and believe in people, believe in system.
And miracles can happen when you trust people and you build a team. Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say, and a set of partners, of which Accenture is a crucial part. Sonali, I'd like to get you in over here. Where does Accenture really come into this fascinating journey of Mr. Sanjay Agarwal?
Firstly, thank you, Sanjay. It's always a pleasure to be, back in Jaipur. As I was saying earlier, this is like a second home to us now. I think our journey with, Sanjay ji started, as he said, when they got a banking license. So way back, now almost 7-8 years back, right? I think when we started, Sanjay ji had a vision for what the bank should look like, what it should operate as. And I think we had a responsibility to make sure we do right by that. And I think it emerged from two areas, right? One, to make sure that we enable that vision to actually be, fructified, laid the foundation from an architecture perspective, make sure we build a modern bank and set the right tone for him. And I think second, that was also a time when new banks were just emerging, right? Getting a banking license in India is still a matter of privilege. So we had the added responsibility to make sure that we build a bank which can last, for the future as well. And I think today, if you look at AU Bank, I think they've been able to, come out with products at a very fast speed to market. They have also been able to, adapt to a lot of regulatory changes also quite rapidly, and innovate and build an ecosystem around them, much rapidly than some of the other traditional banks have been able to do.
So I'll come here because I think Sonali is very modest, but and 2015 when we got the license, right, we were in BFC and we were zero tech. सारा काम हाथ से और पेपर से करते थे, correct? And the moment we got the license, the first question asked to me was this, that CBS किसका लोगे, and who would be our implementing partner, right? And I'm very, very happy, Aayush, and we were actually putting our best foot forward to make us high on tech, right? And my team was very young, they were very into, and and we were also believing that हमको बनाना है यार, somehow, I'm not a techie guy, but somehow that influence was there. But I think it was supported by Accenture and especially by Piyush. And I think the way they advise us, the whole consulting program, first, like किससे बात करोगे, कैसे बात करोगे, किसका program लोगे, the architecture, and then now data, right? So वो partnership खत्म ही नहीं हो रही है, and and it should not be like this to be. But जैसे तुमने मुझे पूछा about the whole trust factor, right? So I just want to tell you that first employee, the second employee of this organization is still in the bank. My first driver is still with me. My first partner is with me. So like Accenture, we got in 2015, they're still working with us. So we have that mentality to build partnerships, right? And to stay long with that. And that has made us what we are today.
It's fascinating, you say that, and you keep saying I'm not a techie, but one thing that you get about all techies and about the fact that you understand business is innovation. But when we're talking about innovation, let's focus on digital innovation. How is AU really disrupting the banking space with digital innovation?
So I'll take one step back, because digital, I think Sonali would be more to comment, but I think Badlaav as a sense, as a soul, is there in entire AU. I think by tech, what we done that, let's not have full of paper banking. Let's say paperless banking. ये word common है, but how to implement it, right? So through tech, we decided that the cash slip in the hinterlands, in the rural areas, where people are not so literate, we should not challenge their literacy. We should not ask them to write applications. We should not ask them to write a cash deposit slip. Video banking, which is the last 2 years of our innovation, never heard in the industry, right? Now you can actually go on video banking and do the transactions, right? Because आप देखिए, if you go back 20 years back, banks were supposed to only operate in 10 to 2, और जेल के तरह गेट होते थे, right? So आपको 2 बजे तक ही जाना होता था. But nowadays, through tech, the banking has become 24/7. Even in the night of 12, you can transfer any kind of money, right? So I don't know how this is getting to that level, but I think innovation in tech, and that too in a banking, is just happening rapidly. Well, I hope you will agree on this, right?
No, absolutely. I think there is the speed of change which is happening, and we've seen a lot in the recent part also. Yeah, I mean, whether it's KYC, whether it's also, I think the regulatory environment has also been very favorable to innovation,
correct,
right? For I mean, if you look at your video banking setup to do KYC on video at a much faster rate, it's 24/7 on your phone.
Backend पे बहुत बन गया है, backend बैंक में innovations बहुत हुआ, CBS, the entire digitization around KYC or UIC, lot many things. But I think front end application where the charm is there, how you want to use the app more, and of course it's a money, right? So we can't play around it. Is it your money which has to be safe, secured, But I think times will come, and the day it will come, right, where our app becomes so smart, and I don't think you will use any other app in this world.
See, and it's interesting that Sanjay mentions these things, Sonali, and I want to get your piece on it from a tech perspective. What Aadhaar has done for KYC, what UPI has done in the payment space, what's happening with ONDC now in e-commerce. There's so much happening with that push from the government as well. But when we talk about one thing that's changed largely in the tech world, it's the cloud journey for a lot of legacy companies as well. So I'm guessing that even over here, there's several solutions that you're coming up with in the digital transformation journey for some of your clients, which would have a lot of the cloud engagement as well.
Right. No, and I think you're absolutely right. I think we've seen a lot of changes and a lot of innovations in the past, and you named a few. The data platform program that we are working with AU Bank. I think that is really harnessing the power of cloud. I think that should allow the bank to offer much more personalized experiences, and also unlock value for its customers and internally for the salespeople as well, right? As Sanjay ji was mentioning earlier, from the outset they have been, digital first, right?
Yes.
Completely paperless. Now I think is the time to consolidate on that make sure all the data is available, and you are able to give these real-time nudges to the employees as well. Use that data to really improve their productivity and serve customers much better. So I do think that's a great foundation that we are working on with AU. It will allow them to go into Gen AI, more advanced analytics in the future as well. I think that's a great foundation, and we do see that increasingly more and more banks do need to embark on that journey as well.
So Aayush, just to add on here, right, where I think our strategy is not digital first, to be very honest. Our strategy is to be customer first. But if you want to be customer first, you have to be digital first. Because the kind of volume, like in my opinion, we have 1.4 billion people now in India, right? And we might go overseas and all those things, and we might be, handling 8 billion people, right? So, and in my opinion, in next 10 years, everybody in this world will have a data footprint, right? You might be at some e-commerce, you might be at, social media, you might be at LinkedIn, you might be doing payments, I do not know, right? But you will have a data footprint. But whether bank will have the capacity to understand that data footprint, and get into their own data warehouse and all those things, which we are talking to Accenture, which is, for me, is a dream project for me, because that actually empower me to understand customer. There's one thing which we know your customer, and there's one thing understand your customer, right? So if we can understand the customer, it can only happen when you can collect all this data from the universe, store it in your place, and then use it like Google. How the Google uses. You just want to, if I use type in the Google, it will just give me in 5 seconds about you, right? And the famous Tim Cook interview also, right? So I think, so that's the power, right? But bank can use it. Yeah. So I just said, that front-end application is still, because of the security angle, because of the entire ecosystem being built now, like cloud and everything. But as we move forward, maybe 10 years down the line, we'll become powerful as a bank, right? We'll have more data. We'll have a data available from universe. And people like Accenture and Sonali and the entire team will help us to, make it at one place and then use it easily, right? And then, we can offer you what you really want. It's a personalization, right? As of now, we are not doing anything around you, Like for me, I think, I should know that, you're a techie guy. Mm-hmm. So I should push all those things for you. Absolutely. Because you will be very different than others, right? But it is not, as of now, is available to us. Mm. So I think the cloud, the data footprint, the entire ecosystem being built in next 10 years, the world will become so seamless, so convenient, so specific, so personalized that banking will become more effective.
Before we do a little bit of crystal ball gazing in this particular conversation, this is the BT-Accenture Leadership Dialogues, and hence I have to ask you a question when I'm revisiting your journey, right, which I don't know if a lot of journalists and media persons have touched upon, the cricket analogy. And I see a cricket bat in the office as well, a bunch of them. We might play after this. But my point being, there are so many lessons to learn from sport. If you were to link it with your journey, would you say there's a correlation? Any lessons in leadership from your time as an aspiring cricketer?
But I think I have lot much. We can have a separate session on cricket learning to a corporate learning, because I remain cricketer and then of course become a corporate guy. I think one thing I don't know whether you heard or not, but there was a saying in cricket that we should have a champion team, not team of champions. So you might want to have a good guys in a bank, right? But they should all be aligned to a common cause. I always say that, in my COVID time, being a cricketer, I just give you one, right? When I used to play cricket, right? And sometime very early in the morning, right? And there is not so much good weather, the swing in the air and everything, and you go and bat opener, right? And you are in good mood, but suddenly, a fine sneak and you get out in the first 2 balls, right? And just go back and sit on the pavilion. Your 2 down comes, the weather is good, sunny, and he strike 100 run, right? So similar pitch, similar match, you scored 0, and he scored 100, right? So what happened? It's normal, right? But what happened in COVID time? I always tell people that, this is bad weather. Let's not get out. Let's stay on the course. Let's not even play in the air. Let's not be adventurous, take the time out, and that was 2 years, right? And suddenly after 2 years, what happened? The GDP growth was around 12-13%, and we were flooded with the business. So now we're surviving, thriving, right? So I think to stay on the course is the game which teaches you. You can have your own emotions, rash shot, but ask any good player, he will say, "Arey yaar, maine us din I missed my chance," right? That's the way business are. If you get out, somebody will come and score in your place.
Absolutely. No, I think this calls for a separate podcast by itself. But it's fascinating, Sanjay, that you mentioned that, because that champion team that you're talking about, if we have to take that champion team and scale it up for T20, for Test, for ODI, and really for world domination to become world champions, what do you think it will take for AU to really scale up in the next few years? How do you see this bank and its journey shaping up in the next few years?
So two things, right? So again, cricket analogy. So banks are like test match. The banks are for long term, So it's not for just let's build for 5 years, 10 years. So I think what we are doing at AU is to really build it for forever, right? So मेरी तो बहुत इच्छा है, because I know that I won't be running this bank forever, right? But this bank can run forever. So I think that our job as of now as executive is to really build that culture, that whole narrative, efficiency, trust, and of course the patience. I think I'm very happy that we are able to do that, and it's not about only 6 years as a banking. It's about 20 years as an institution, right? I started in '96, so that enough time has gone by that we should not do large mistakes, and should remain in course. And to be very honest, Sonali and Aayush, that I'm very fortunate that we got the license, because in my opinion, this is the most powerful license of the world. Because, people just go and just give you money, which is in my opinion, money is something for them, right? It is their livelihood. They believe in that will make their life going. And they just give it to us. Just open the branch, the money comes to us, right? So I think if we keep that trust going in terms of narratives, in terms of character, in terms of how we approach world, how we approach the whole ecosystem, there will be no looking back.
The way you see the sector shaping up, I'd like to get your thoughts as well. What are the disruptions that you're most looking forward to, say, in the short to medium term?
Right. No, I think, look, we are in definitely for interesting times, right? I think, if you look at world over, or at least in the US, for example, a lot is being talked about, is banking in crisis there, right? But I think given our strong regulatory support, the health of our banks here, I think there is a lot to be optimistic around. Given the way our newer innovations are coming in, I mean, we saw cloud last year or last few years. AI is probably what is also going to now keep everybody engaged and challenge what is the next frontier, right, in the years to come as well. So I think we've been quite fortunate both from a regulatory perspective, strength of our banking industry perspective as well. I do think banks do need to now look at digital in terms of how does it really start unlocking value, how does it start really getting you its shareholders as well as the customers the return that has always been promised, right? A lot of investments have already gone through that, and how do we make sure that we now start to unlock those investments in the near future? I think that's going to be also very critical, while obviously new waves of innovation and new waves of investments will continue to be there.
Sanjay, Sonali, what a fascinating chat. See, we're talking about innovation, leadership, cricket, kachoris, technology, data identity. Where can these conversations happen? Only on the BT-Accenture Leadership Dialogues. Thank you so much for joining us. Inspiring and insightful as always. But what a pleasure to have you guys. And we really look forward to continuing these conversations on Business Today.